we could do better,
Yeah.
you know, and that's my whole goal. We could do
Okay.
better.
I'm Alan McPheeters with the Voter Interest Project. This year, voters in Island County will elect officials for several county offices, including assessor, auditor, clerk, coroner, prosecutor, sheriff, treasurer, commissioner, and district court judge. 19 candidates filed to run for these offices, and we've invited each of them to join us for an interview. You can find out more about the candidates and our election coverage at voterinterest.com. And if you'd like future coverage sent straight to you, you can subscribe at voterinterest.com/subscribe. Today I'm talking with Matthew Van Pelt, a Republican from North Whidbey, who's running for County Commissioner from District 3, which is Camano and North Whidbey. We shared possible questions with him ahead of time. And here we are. So good evening. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2026, and we're here with Matthew Van Pelt, who's running for Island County Commissioner in District 3, which is North Whidbey and Camano Island. Matt, welcome to the Voter Interest Project.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Now,
Yeah.
we have people come and do these interviews from all kinds of places, like outside and inside, at the office, at home, at work, whatever. Where are you today?
Actually, I'm sitting in what used to be my old company office in the back of my house.
Ah,
So yeah, it's now my wife's sewing room in her office for just
ah,
hanging out. So
very
just
good.
utilizing that.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, let's start out with just a few kind of biographical, rapid fire kind of questions, so
Sure.
people know where you're coming from. Now, you just said you're married, so not single. Do you have children?
Yes, actually, we are a blended family. I have five adult children, oldest
Wow.
being 45 and youngest being 32.
Okay.
They are kind of spread around the country. I've got two of them in Iowa. One's pretty high up in the John Deere world. Got a daughter that works for the government actually through in Iowa and just outside of Des Moines. She lives in Polk City. And then a daughter here that is currently running for a position as well. And then I have a son in the Navy. He's currently stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and getting ready to move to Virginia. And then I've got a son that lives here as well. So he's doing real estate and running a company of his own. So and then we go into the 11 grandkids and one adopted granddaughter.
Wow, big
Yeah,
family.
yeah,
And we should probably mention, since you mentioned it, that the daughter's running for office would be Amber Sewell, and she is running for county clerk.
correct, correct.
Now,
Very proud of her.
as well you should be. Now, were you raised here on Whidbey? Did you move here? How did you get here?
So in 2003, I was in between deployments as a reservist.
Okay.
And I was actually living in Iowa. I'm from California originally, born and raised down there. And then I spent many years living in Iowa a couple different times.
Hmm.
And at that time, I was living in Iowa and had been there. Um, and as a reservist, I kept getting deployed. And when I came back in 2003, I kind of just wanted to take a little break and get away from the riffraff and just come out here and do a leadership course with the Navy.
Oh,
So I did it in the worst time of year because it will tempt you to move here in a second. The end of July, beginning of August. And
ah,
I'm talking art festivals going on and so much that we have to offer. And I fell in love with it. And while I was out here, the Navy called me and asked me to come back onto active duty. So when I chose to do so, the first thing I did was make a phone call and got orders out here. So in 2004, in March 2004, I moved out here, and my wife and our two youngest sons followed, and they actually both graduated high school here. And we've been here. Well, I had a short break from 2010 to 2014 where I was stationed in California, but Deb had stayed behind.
okay.
So, because in 2010 was when she originally ran for Island County Clerk and was elected. So we chose to live apart at the time, and which wasn't so bad because I was gone 40 of 48 months anyways.
Ah, okay.
So,
Very
so
good.
she wouldn't have seen me anyways.
Well, that's a hazard of the Navy life.
It is. It definitely is.
It's so funny because I asked those questions to just about everybody, and the majority of people did not grow up here on Whidbey, but they
Yeah.
all tell a very similar story. Oh, we came out here and it was so beautiful, we knew we had to move here,
Oh yeah.
which I think says a lot about Whidbey and Camino.
It is. I mean, I've been across the bridge, I don't know how many times. I went across it again today because I had to go off island to get some stuff for
Mhm.
one of my companies. And I'm telling you, every time I cross that bridge, it just, I'm glad it's 25. I'd almost drop it to 10 because I'm that guy that everybody's probably honking at. Because when I get on that bridge, it's just so beautiful. Every time, you never know what you're going to see next. You
Yeah,
know, you got an eagle flying over with a salmon in its claws, and I
sure.
mean, you just don't know what you're going to see. So I
Yeah,
want to take it all in as I go across, and it's just every part of the island, north, south. It's the same thing when I go around Camano. I'll get on my motorcycle and sometimes just ride around Camano just for a different ride, and it's just oh my God, you go down by the waterfront and just riding through. It's just
neat.
there's just so many beautiful things that we have.
Yeah.
So it's
So, and you mentioned that you have, I think you said three companies. Tell us about
correct. So in 2015, when I retired from the Navy,
them.
my wife asked me that loaded question. So what are you going to do now?
Mhm.
And I said, well, I think I'm going to go into construction, just swing a hammer part time.
Mhm.
Well, that's been coming up on almost 12 years ago, 11, almost 12 years ago. And I guess 11 years ago. And so right now we currently I have four guys that work inside of the construction company.
Okay.
Um, and then I bounce between that. The other company is one I acquired 2 years ago, Custom Cabinets by Design. It was founded by Paul and Debbie Wilson, wonderful folks. They'd had it since 1993,
Wow.
and they just recently went ahead and fully retired. Although yesterday, Paul, he's such a character. He says, "Hey, if you need me, I'm available." You know, the guy's 70 years old and he just can't
Wow.
stop. He loves building, and
Great.
so we have Custom Cabinets by Design, and then I guess it's been 4 years ago now. Um, I purchased, of all things, my fun company, I call it, which is Coop's Last Stand, which is a hot
Mm,
dog cart that this is the 25th year it's been operating down at the pier in Coopville.
outstanding.
And so out of that, a couple years ago, I built the second hot dog cart. And as of today, I just finished all the paperwork with Allen County, got it blessed, and it will be out tomorrow night at the farmers market, the grilled cheese cart
Nice.
known as Say Cheese. So, and it's great. I mean, you want to talk about fun. I have a local guy here that does artwork for me. I'll give him an idea and let him run with it. And he just creates the coolest things for me for t-shirts and stuff like that. And I mean, just fun. It's just fun. I have more fun meeting people and just, it's just great. I mean, construction's great when people get done and you get done with a beautiful project and you're all beat up and they're broke and we're all happy because it's done great. However, it's sometimes long and drawn out.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that's I've been real blessed and real lucky to have my brothers in partnership with me on the hot dog cart, and then the other two I have a great team that oversee and run everything. I've got just one guy right now in the cabinet shop, and I float between the construction and cabinet where I'm needed.
Mm,
So, and the intentions are that they will run them. Should I be elected, they will take them over and and take it. So they've been in training for about the past year and a half to learn what they need to know.
very good. Yeah, because county commissioner is a full-time gig.
Yes, it is. It is no part-time walk, so and I'm not afraid to put in the hours and to put in the work. Been doing it for since the construction, we're doing it in the military. Oh my goodness, there's days in the military. A 100-hour week is where the week started, and then
Yeah.
you push a little longer.
Yeah.
And so, putting in the work, it doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me at all.
Very good. So I think maybe the best point to start at is, are you out doorbelling? Are you knocking on doors and stuff yet?
Haven't done that yet. Um, Been doing more of when I'm out working the carts or when I'm out just working, people see my signs, the signage on my truck, and people that know me, that know I'm running, that follow me on Facebook, whatever, and other platforms through our company. They know what I'm up to, and they'll just come up and talk to me. And well, I think you've known me long enough. I'm not a very shy guy.
No,
But
no,
if
that's
I
good.
see somebody wearing a funny shirt or a funny hat or they just seem like an interesting person, I want to know them. I want to know why, and I'll just walk up and ask, and that just strikes conversations.
Sure.
I try not to when I'm talking to people get into major things. I just say, hey, I care about what the island's got going, and I want to make it. We're in a good stance, but we could do better.
Yeah.
And that's my whole goal. We could do
Okay.
better. So.
So, and actually, in the spirit of full disclosure, I should probably note here, uh, when I first moved up here, my wife and I moved up here in 2016. You were our next door neighbor,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and that
sir. For about
lasted,
a year.
yeah, about a year, and then you moved not very far away.
No, I stayed
So,
my triangle. I call it my Bermuda Triangle.
and we're all up here on the north side of Oak Harbor. So
Yeah,
Matt moved from in the city limits to outside the city limits, and that's why he can run for
yeah.
District 3. Um, let's start with this. So, if you were outdoor belling, or when you're at the cart and people come up and talk to you, um, you're familiar with the term elevator pitch, I imagine. You're in the elevator with this person who can fund your project, or with a voter who might vote for you. You got about 30 seconds before you get to the top floor. What do you say to them?
It was interesting because this evening I had to run by the commissary late this afternoon to pick up a few things, and I had a young man. I was wearing my construction hat, um, and he was taking my groceries out for me, and he says, "You still in the construction company?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, well, you did our house, back in 2019. I go, you couldn't own a house. You're too young to own a house in 2019. I go, you've been like what, 12, 13? He goes, well, I was when you remodeled my parents. And I go,
Uh,
oh, now I remember you, but you didn't have a beard then. And you're a lot shorter. And we got to talking. And he says, so why are you running? Because he knew. He goes, so why are you running? And I said, because the best way to make changes or the
mhm,
best way to have a voice is be involved. I go,
true.
be involved whether you're running for office, be involved whether you're going to the meetings and helping on any committees that you can help on, stuff like that. I go, I mean, there's like
Oh,
and I want to make sure it's left better than when I found it.
outstanding.
So,
It's a good
you
place to
know.
start.
Yeah, and that's my goal is we've got some major stuff coming up, and with my backgrounds, I have no doubt that I can help guide it without having to hire outside sources and spend money where we have it within house. We can assemble a team. There's enough people we can do things.
So
So,
that's an interesting question. There's a lot of talk, especially since President Trump got elected. He brought Elon Musk and Doge and all that with non-governmental organizations that are contracted out by the government to achieve goals that the government think is worthwhile. And Island County does that too. Are there things that Island County is contracting out that you think they should bring back in house?
so I mean, one of the big things that they're not doing yet, but they probably will have to, is when we're talking about that jail.
Right,
The jail is a huge one. People don't realize how many pieces of land, pieces of properties that the county's been buying to move like the corner and stuff like that, because the footprint that we need as a county seat,
hmm,
Coopville can no longer support unless we get out into start knocking down houses all around there. That's not good. That's
right,
not a good way to handle things. Or move out into farmland. No, that's protected. Let's keep it protected because I love driving down through there and looking over those fields out to the water. There's nothing more beautiful.
right.
And so they're having to buy seats up towards this way. And the reason they look at Oak Harbor is because we have water and we have a sewer plant.
Hmm,
That, Coopville has one, but it is by far not big enough to handle
right.
on the growing. And you can't put a prison or a jail um, on a septic system. It would have to be massive. and then you're going to have, a lot of issues down the way by trying to maintain it, the cost and everything. So just, being able to look and go, okay, well, what's the infrastructure, and sitting down with the engineers ahead of time without having to hire somebody to come in and do it. There's people within the county and people that are citizens that I've known for a while, being in that industry, that I really feel I can call upon and say, hey, give me a little snippet of what you feel, that have done major commercial work. I've done some commercial, but nothing to this extent.
Right.
However, I did do one back in the 90s for the Navy, not as a builder, but as a project manager alongside of one of the other teams in 91 in San Diego.
Hmm.
But, things are different.
Yeah.
So we've got to look, because the last thing we want is take $100 million project and have a 50 million or $70 million overrun
Right.
because something was missed. And it happens. And it shouldn't. But, when you're estimating something that size, and the companies are bringing it together, and you got to not be afraid to challenge the builders. I get challenged all the time as a builder. Well, you sure about that? And it's
Yeah.
and so you prove it. So you want to make sure that your infrastructure is going to handle it. And you got to do site evaluations and all that, and
So
then all the other buildings.
they've been talking about three different sites, and I don't remember where all of them are. One is essentially right where they are, and I know another one is up here on Goldie Road. I think the third one's
Correct.
also in Coopville.
Correct. It was
You're,
down Coopville, and Coopville's pretty much out the window,
so you're
except
thinking the
except
Goldie Road is where you're going to have to build if
I,
of the
I'm
three
I'm
sites.
thinking that I'm thinking it's I don't think that one's going to happen either. It's yeah, I mean, it could, but your infrastructure leading out to it, you're going to have to upsize everything.
Right.
You're talking about upsizing sewer and power, and so I mean they've got to do a complete site evaluation. That's going to take a proper team. Um, to make sure of where's it truly at. Some of that can be done without being hired out, by just sitting down with the engineering and going, okay, let's look at where does the sewer stop, where's the water stop, how are we getting things here, how, what's our piping size, what are we going to need? You're going to need a 4 foot, a 6 foot. What do you need for water runoff? Where are you going to put your water runoff, and how much, for your roof, and how big? And I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that people think that you just snap your fingers and, 18 or 24 months later, hey, it shows up. So it doesn't. It's
No.
a process, and it's a long process.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you don't rush it in the front. You want to have the planning proper so that the execution is proper. So,
Right.
so I really feel that with my background in construction, I mean, I've been doing construction pretty much my whole life. Grew up with a father was we did painting, we did house flipping before house flipping was a thing on TV.
Yeah.
Um, I remember that out of us five brothers, we'd all pick a number between 1 and 10, and whatever the whole man was holding behind his fingers behind his back, whoever got closest got that, he'd throw the hammer at you, and you got to tear down the walls he wanted torn down, to open the house up. Yeah, it was just goofy stuff, but it was fun. I mean, I'm a 6-year-old kid tearing down walls and framing and running electrical wires. And then years later, when my mother remarried when I was 16 and I moved to Iowa, my stepfather was an electrician for 67 years.
Wow.
And so I would work with him on the weekends and stuff when I wasn't working on the restaurant in a restaurant that I worked at. And so it was just, it's been great, and even when I was in the Navy, I still did projects, I
Sure.
would keep it limited, but, you know,
So one
but
of the things that I was reading on your website that you're concerned about housing affordability, and I think that comes a lot down to how hard it is to build. At least so I hear. And
so
you
it's
have
it's
expertise.
more it's more attainability, because affordability, we both know that it takes an ugly market crash to bring prices down. So
Right.
you want to do attainability, meaning, okay, how do we take some of the older houses and curve them from getting out of control with prices? My
Right.
brother lives in an older house that, and he got I don't say we got a steal on the house he bought. We got it in the middle of COVID. I was doing a remodel on it
Mm,
for a bathroom that flooded, and I heard the lady wanted to sell, and I made a phone call directly to her, worked a deal, and it was done.
wow.
And it was incredible for what they're pricing at now compared to what he paid for it. And even the one I'm currently in, you know, I couldn't buy right now, and I worked my buns off.
Right.
But the attainability meaning that people need a place to lay their head.
Yeah.
So so the biggest problems we're having is 2018, 2021 codes have killed the cost of building a house. When you change window frustration, you're not only changing what type of glass and is it have to have argon, does it to be double pane, is it 3/16, is it quarter inch? You're
Mm,
also changing the frame because the frame has the most leak. The frame has leaks. Go look at an old aluminum window house in the wintertime. They all got towels along the bottom because they puddle
right.
because you got electric heat inside with that. And then another problem is either the house is breathing too much or not enough. The 2021 codes have taken us to a point where a house can no longer breathe. We're choking the house. And when you choke the house, it's like choking you or I. If we don't have air coming in and air going out, we're not going to work well.
Right.
And a house is the same way. If it can't breathe, then there's a problem. So now where you always had a whole house fan called that, which
Hmm.
is essentially your fan in your that kicks on every once in a while in your laundry room.
Right.
That was just to keep air moving through the house. Well, now we build the house so tight you actually have to have a bigger one. And then it sucks everything out for
Mm,
8 to 10 seconds. So now everything you're trying to save in that to make it better, you just sucked right out. Um, when they start trying to tell everybody the energy codes, they're so strict that I mean, pretty much anytime I'm doing one, you're going to put in a tankless hot water heater. That's more expensive to put in than just a regular hot water heater because there's a lot more piping, a lot more changes where you putting it, a lot more electrical as well as gas.
right.
Because an electric tankless hot water heater is the worst thing in the world. They just don't produce right.
Hmm.
They don't work they don't work like a tank one, put it that way.
Okay.
But so they've changed. I mean, if you were to sit down and look at the energy codes, and I know guys that do it every day, and they just scratch their head going, "How are we going to make energy code to make this work?" Because everything has a point basis. Okay, so I got to build it tighter. Then they went to R21 plus 5 insulation.
Mhm.
Well, how they assume that you're going to get it is you have a 2x6 frame wall, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pay about $140 a sheet instead of 20 to 22 for a piece of shear. You're going to get
Wow.
this piece of shear that has a basically an R5 half-inch piece of foam on it
Mhm.
and nail through it. Well, now your problem is you've done that, but now when you start running your siding nails and everything else, no longer can you follow anything. And your siding, you give it time, siding's going to start sagging. But the biggest problem is that even where they think that they've made it better, so that you don't have the leakage, they made it worse. So a lot, I mean, I've got different ways that I'm able to achieve the same R26 they want by spraying a little spray foam, then stuffing it. But again, that's more money.
Right.
That's a
So,
lot more money.
but see, the problem here is from a governance point of view, are these things that are in the control of the county or are these handed down by the state?
They're handed down by the state. And this is where counties need to get together and start arm wrestling the state and going, well,
Hmm.
who's leading this? Who's
Right.
behind this? Because anybody I know that's part of the builders associations or anything like that, they're going just like GFCI, AFCI breakers. The whole idea behind them is so people have it's it's kind of like warning labels, I
Mhm.
guess is the way to put it. We're warning you, don't play with your electrical because you get hurt.
Right.
Well, I remember sitting in science class one time and a guy wanted us to get out early and he reaches over, he takes a paper clip, puts it in the thing and pops it with his pencil and blows breakers. You
Okay.
know, probably shouldn't say that, but he did. And so we're out of class a little early. but nowadays you could just sneeze at them and the breaker's gone.
Mm,
If you're running anything that arcs at all, that's why they're arc fault. If you get an old blow dryer or an old vacuum, they'll blow the breaker. The most dangerous place is back out of the panel for a homeowner that doesn't understand the panel. And 11, 12 times into it, the spring gets weak. Now it's going to keep popping even easier.
right.
So, and I got kind of into a scuffle with a guy about that. And then my electrician buddy, I asked him, he and I didn't get in a scuffle. I asked him, I said, what do you think about the more times the breaker blows? He goes, it gets weak. It's a spring. He goes, take an ink pen, click it 100 times and feel the difference in tension. And I go, exactly. I go, but yet you go talk to a guy at L&I. Oh no, they're the best things in the world. So you take all the breaker panel. Let's just talk about the breaker panel. You took an old breaker panel that you could probably put in for 2 grand.
Mm.
Now they're $4,500 to $5,000 just to buy the panel and all the breakers. And
So,
then now you got to wire it in.
so as a commissioner, what can you do about this since a lot of this comes down from the state?
A lot of it does come down from the state, and a lot of it is with me having a little bit of horsepower being in there, being able to not so much work with inside of this, but go out to the associations, the builder associations, stuff like that a bit more
Okay.
in a different capacity and start working with them to start taking it forward to a higher level.
Hmm. Okay.
And then be able to have a little more direct contact to the persons that can help and sit down and show them, as a builder, as a person that, I mean, we're talking $132,000 it costs more to build a house since 2016.
Wow.
You
That's
know, and
huge.
then, and that's not even. I mean, now let's factor in what COVID did to the payroll. Used to be you could get a very qualified individual, a lead for $25 an hour. You're not touching one for under 60 an hour. That's
Right.
in the residential. You go talk about commercial, you're talking 120, 140.
Wow.
You know, it just, you know, it keeps compounding. And it's just like when everybody celebrates, oh, our minimum wage is this, but you and I know economics. It's a vacuum system, but the problem is it doesn't pick up dirt. It's picking up everything and throwing it out
Yeah.
because everything has to go up, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part that people don't understand. I mean, my payroll for 9 guys was the same as, or actually 7 guys was the same as I was paying for 13.
Wow.
Yeah, to give you an idea. And so when you're
Well,
watching companies downsize or carrying smaller loads, that's why, because your payroll is it's nerve wracking. Every 2 weeks you're trying to, well, okay, do we have enough going on? So,
that's actually a good pivot to another topic that's really heated up just in the past couple of weeks, and that is this huge argument. And I think there's a veterinarian who may live on Camano who's sort of the driving force, I think, behind it, to hire a second animal control officer at the county sheriff's office. And the commissioners have said, there's no money for this. Is that, would you look for somewhere to cut in the county budget to get a second animal control officer? Or do you agree with the current set of commissioners that it's not the most important thing that needs to be done?
I had a very good conversation with one of the commissioners recently
Hmm.
about this. And I mean, we sat and had about a 3 hour talk about a lot of stuff, but this is one of the topics that she had talked about. And she said, okay, so we can have a police officer in that position that can
Mhm.
also be an animal control, but an animal control cannot be a police.
Right,
What do you want? And I think I'd rather have a police officer because a police officer can go on any call, an animal control can only go on animal control.
right.
Now, trust me, I have my 2 dogs. My dogs are my everything. I mean, as far as dogs go, they
Mhm.
are spoiled, rotten children. And I think I'm the pet and they're the owners. And, the biggest thing is that you can look, where else can we cut? You can't really do it in the middle where everybody else already has a budget they're trying to work
Right.
that was handed down. Now, what can you do going into 2026 2027, budgets. Well, then you can look at adjustments. And I actually had a really good talk with Sheriff Leachy really recently, a couple weeks ago. And he even said, he goes, I mean, I'd rather have an officer than an animal control officer because the officer can do dual positions. Animal control's only one. He goes, yes, an animal's all that stuff is extremely important, but just because you have one more, what do you want responding to a burglary call? You don't want an animal control officer.
Right.
So, in the 2027 budget, can they look at it? Yeah, that's when you would look at it. Right now, to walk into another department, if you walked into the building department that's already, I've got some plans getting ready to go in, and I'm being told it's 16 to 18 weeks, and I'm ripping a roof off a house,
Weeks.
and I'm talking, okay, now I'm in the middle of winter. Well, that doesn't work out well.
Yeah.
That just pushed it to next year, which then makes the customer not happy, you know. So,
Yeah.
but it's either that or, well, you're going to have to eat a little bit more because it's going to get wet, but so there's there's a fine line in each budget. And being married to a woman that was, you're in that position of dealing with not dealing with the budget, but going and asking for money every year from the
Right.
county. Um, and listen to her every year about, hey, this and hey, that. And she did fantastic. That only right at the end did she say, hey, I need more money because I need another person. Her biggest problem was she had no room to put him. Okay, you
Oh,
already got two in the vault, and your secondary exit's blocked. What more where are you gonna put him on somebody else's lap?
right.
Working the night, going to night shift? What are we doing? We get night court going? You know?
That won't work.
Yeah, so the budget's a tricky thing, and when I had the conversation with her, I tell you it was very eye opening because she's um, very smart on it, and I will say,
Yeah.
and she may not speak the best when she talks up front, and she flat out told me that she goes, but I mean, her heart's in it,
Yeah.
and all she wants is the same as I do. What can we do to make it better without making it worse, meaning having to raise taxes and keep putting strains on family?
Yeah.
Which brings me to I had a question about that when I was in Camano recently, and the lady says, "What are we gonna do to lower taxes?" I said, "To be honest with you, the only thing you could do is wait till a levy comes back around or something that was voted in and vote it no."
Right.
I go, or when they're asking for more money, say no.
Yeah.
Learn how to run your budget, tighten things up, close a few things down, whatever you got to do. You and I, it's how it was put to me the other day. If you got to choose between, okay, I need a new pair of shoes for work, or I want this pack of cigarettes, what are you getting? May
I
need to
hope
quit
the
smoking.
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, you may need to quit smoking, but or gas in your car, I mean, we all have to do it, and they really are trying. It's just and but when you see a 1% housing rate, and I didn't realize into the actual budget of the county, 1%.
Yeah.
1%. Is it 1%, they get maybe 80 grand of
Yeah.
that 1% because it goes all the way across the board. So everybody's already getting it when that 1% hits. Because they can't just say we want 1% for the county, we want 1% for the city. City's getting it, the county's getting it, the schools are getting it, everybody's getting it. So then when they come back around for your levy, you can just look at them and go, well, I'm sorry, but you already got it.
Yeah.
But we need it does unfortunately it's a truism that we need the money to run things. But responsible spending is a key.
Yeah.
And not being, sometimes, you have to tell your kids no, they can't have that, little skateboard they want or something. Sometimes we may have to not get that skateboard.
Yeah.
So, and I mean they really I actually met up with the auditor as well and then with the treasurer and it just it's there's so many things that we can do to work together to figure out a way. So it takes a team. No one person has the answers.
Well, that's certainly true. But I'm looking up at the clock and we're at 34 minutes just now. So we probably
No,
should wrap this thing up. It's a great conversation, but
Yeah.
I always end with this. So if people want to know more about you, what's the best way for them to find out? Is it a website or Facebook, or do you want people to give you a
You know,
call or,
so we do have a website. It's electvampelt.com.
okay.
They can look there. They can go ahead and request and ask for a time to get together. Um, and you may need to give me a couple days because who knows which direction I'm running that day.
Sure.
But I do my best to make sure that we can do it. It was kind of funny. A couple weeks ago, I put on Facebook, "Hey, if you want to talk, come on down and see me at the card on Thursday night." And I had ladies come down and talk to me. They
Ah,
just they say, "Hey, we saw this on Facebook. We want to talk to you. What about this?" And they were concerned about the public safety with the police officers and stuff because they had a unhoused or homeless, however you want to call it, threatening to throw rocks at them and screaming and hollering at them and being, you know, not decent. And so I asked him a few questions, gave him a few pointers on how to handle it. And so, and let him know that, we're gonna start looking at a lot of different things. There's a lot of different ways we can handle things.
sure.
So
Sure.
I'm an out of the box thinker. I don't follow the same path. I take the windy road. I never take the straight road because I want to know everything and see everything.
Sure. Sure.
So
Very good. All right. Well, when we put this up on Facebook, we'll have that contact information in not Facebook on YouTube. We'll have contact information in the description, and it'll be on our website, and people will be able to get hold of you. So, Matt, I really appreciate your taking the time to do this interview. I think it's
well,
so
thank
helpful
you.
for the voters. So, thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Alan. Have a great
And
night.
all right, thanks you too. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for watching our interview with Matthew Van Pelt. If you found this helpful, you can learn more about the candidates and our election coverage at voterinterest.com. You can support our work at voterinterest.com/donate and help us keep producing resources like this for voters in Island County. You can also stay up to date on future interviews and election coverage by subscribing at voterinterest.com/subscribe.